Hello everyone, welcome back to the Redmen TV. We've just seen Chris's update on Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. You will know that that is now completely out of date because the transfer window and deadline day looming. So I'm going to give an update on Oxlade-Chamberlain in a second, and we're going to talk about the Phil Coutinho situation as well. But first I want to remind everyone, with transfer deadline day looming tomorrow, Thursday from 7 p.m. on the Ball Street channel. I'm going to be live there for deadline day. Yeah, I missed the last one, even though everyone knows I am the real king of not being able to mute my phone when I'm doing live streams. Everyone knows I own deadline day, and I'm back in a big way from 7 till 11:30 tomorrow on youtube.com/Ball Street to come and check out Ball Street Fan TV, as it were. But yeah, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, Chris went off the air, and almost immediately afterwards, apparently Liverpool put in a bid for Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, and the reports are from James Ollie, who I'd never heard of, but he's got a blue tick, so he must be sound. Like us. Understand LFC have had an opening offer for Oxlade-Chamberlain rejected by Arsenal, lower than Chelsea's 40 million, circa 30 million, ball in LFC's court. And some of the responses have been interesting, and I'm going to get to some of your comments on this pretty much straight away, so let me know your thoughts on Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. People saying I think 40 million is probably too much. I don't think it would be 40 million. I have for Chelsea 35 to 40. I don't know how true any of that is. I've seen it reported both, if I'm perfectly honest. But yeah, that is too much money probably. But let us know your thoughts on the price that you think is a reasonable price and whether you care ultimately. Now it does look, as Chris was saying earlier, it looks like it's a one or t'other kind of situation with Lamar and Oxlade-Chamberlain, which I can understand upset. I can understand people being slightly irked, I don't know, because everyone got really excited about Lamar. What it looks like to me is Liverpool kind of getting the ducks lined up in a row here, because they'll push hard on Lamar, and if it doesn't come off, they'll buy Oxlade-Chamberlain. But what they've done here, and I think is really clever, it's another sign of Liverpool, I think, how well we conduct ourselves in the transfer market. And Liverpool have become very good at this. Now, the kind of brinksmanship goes wrong occasionally, and again, we've got it wrong in the past, but in the last few years, I think we've been great at this. Arsenal accepted Chelsea's offer of ballpark 40 million, say. The players chose not to join Chelsea. They know that he wants to join us. Liverpool have gone in with a lower offer. Because what if Arsenal have already accepted, like, I think, was it 7 or 8 million less for Kieran Gibbs off Watford? So we know that they're in a weak position, bargain-wise. We know they're prepared to sell Alexis Sanchez like a day before the transfer window shuts, which is mental. So fair play to Liverpool for going in for this. It's been rejected, fine. I suspect we'd get him for less than Chelsea offered if they wanted him. But I just like the fact that you just get this all lined up. If you get Lamar over the line, you'll have Lamar. If you don't, then unlucky Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. It's just business, pal. Gareth King, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain's stats: 6 years at Arsenal, 154 games missed through injury, 132 played, 9 goals, 14 assists, 23 chances created. I think the point you're trying to make there, he's not been great. And I would agree with that. I think his stats haven't been sensational. I think his goal and assist return for last season, off the top of my head, in all competitions, was pretty decent. And I often think the league stuff, people bandy around league stats because they're a little easier to get hold of. In fact, Si, would you do me a favour? Would you go on Transfermarkt and find out Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain's goal and assist for last season? Waldo beats, I'm going to RKO Phil's bird. That's not very nice. Yeah, Joshua, it's not even our money, Sonny. Yeah, exactly. I agree with that. Brian McMahon Gallagher, only LFC mid. He's better than his Grujic. Yeah, maybe. But the thing that he's got going for him, and look, we're living in a world now where Alberto Moreno has just had 2 very, very good games of football for Liverpool, and no one thought that was possible. 2 months earlier, let alone a season earlier. He's got pace, he's got touch, he's got skill, he's got years ahead of him. Yeah, he's got fitness issues, but as far as an all-round squad player goes, yeah, sound. Go on, Si.
He played 45 games in all competitions, 6 goals and 11 assists.
See, I think that's a pretty decent return, particularly for a guy who finished the season playing wing-back as well. and a lot of them will have been off the substitutes bench and all that kind of stuff. That's a lot of appearances a game for a guy who's got injury problems. 45 is probably as many as that a lot of Liverpool players put in last season.
In the league, it was 29 appearances, 2 goals, 7 assists.
Yeah, so even that, again, 2 goals. His goal return's not good enough. But then again, I think if he plays in midfield, I don't think our midfielders get a terrific amount of goals, if I'm honest. You know what I mean? So he'd fit in nicely. But I think it's interesting. Thanks very much for that, Si. We'll get back into a few more comments.
We've got Brian McMahon Gallagher says, Henderson, Chandler, Lana, Phil, Genie and Milner are all better than Chamberlain.
Maybe, yeah. Like I say, maybe that's the case, and I think that's good though. I don't think, and this is the thing, I don't think Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain has been bought to walk into the Liverpool team the way that Salah was bought to walk into the team, and maybe Robertson was, but I don't know about that. I don't think, and I agree that we probably needed a few more players who could do that, but that is a tough thing to do. I think Keita would have walked into the team. I think, as I say, Salah already has. I think Van Dijk walks into the team. And I think theoretically, if you've brought in 3 first-team players, which I know we haven't been able to do that, but that was the intention, fine. But I think our first team's good. And I think what you've got to do is have what we saw at the Palace game with rotation is having players who are capable of coming in without there being a massive drop-off in level. And I don't think Oxlade-Chamberlain is acres, streets, miles, fathoms, parsecs worse than any of the players that play in our first 11, if I'm perfectly honest. So I think he'd be a good addition, but that's just me. Go on, give us another one.
We've got a super chat from David Robertson, £2. Thank
good
you very
lad.
Much. And he said, Phil to Barca and Liverpool knock out Barca in the Champions League knockout stages.
I'd be happy with that. To be fair, I mean, we're going to come on to Phil Coutinho stuff now. But Carl Bayless' last, he says, get Oxford free by Lamar and VVD now. I think that's the thing. The fact that Oxlade-Chamberlain's available on a free next season, I just think we need a player. I think everyone can see we need a player who's capable of offering a little bit more depth to what we do. I genuinely don't get the people who don't like Oxlade-Chamberlain, if I'm perfectly honest, because he can play left wing, right wing. He can play wing back if you need to, if you want to switch things up. And I think he can play in the same position that Lallana plays in the attack and mid. I think if we needed him to as well. I wouldn't want him anchoring the midfield or whatever, but he's got a terrific engine. I just think he's a really talented lad who's not been seen the best of. But here's the thing, we criticise Arsenal, we look at how spineless Arsenal are and look at the way how spineless the manager is and how he sets up his teams. Is it any surprise that a lot of his players don't look like they would fit Liverpool? That's just my take on it. And the fact is, if Jurgen Klopp wants him, he thinks he can get something out of him. So I would be very interested to see what kind of player, and I think we could get an exciting player there, if I'm honest. So Phil Coutinho, that's what I'm really here to discuss. Thank you very much. The fast-moving nature of the transfer window. Everyone keep their eyes on silver vans and planes for me while I'm doing this. So Duncan Castles, who I've not met Duncan Castles. I don't know Duncan Castles. There is from people who do know him, he's not liked amongst people who I like, who know him. That's kind of irrelevant, but he's written on Yahoo. I think he works for the Times, but he's also written on Yahoo about Phil Coutinho, and he has said Barca will pay up to €160 million for Phil Coutinho if all performance-related variables are met. He's been told he will be a Barcelona player this week. He was informed. Apparently, he was informed by Fenway Sport that they finally acceded to his request to exit the Anfield club before he left Merseyside on national team duty. The 25-year-old is not playing for Liverpool, blah, 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 is fit to play. We discussed this already. Liverpool are understood to have asked Barcelona to delay the completion of Coutinho's transfer to allow them to secure a replacement, which has just got the wonderful ring about it that we hear one of these every single window. There is no way on earth that Barcelona... This is the Barcelona who have tried every dirty trick in the book. Don't just announce Phil Coutinho if they've got an agreement in place for him. I'm sorry, it just doesn't happen. But here's the thing. Now, this came out. Apparently, this came out first. But anyway, you've got Ollie Bond, who's the guy behind Anfield HQ. He's a really nice fella, but he tweeted about 16 hours ago, not the news everyone's been waiting for, been told Phil Coutinho will leave Liverpool this window, €160 million. Now, what's followed since then is this is what drives me mad about the whole transfer window thing, and this is where we are with Phil Coutinho right now. So that had 2,900 retweets and 3,300 faves. Chris Bascom, who is as close you can get to a Northwest journalistic authority. You know, he worked for the Liverpool Echo for a number of years. He moved up to I think the Mail and the Telegraph. I think he's at the Telegraph now. He tweeted about an hour later or around that time, and he was saying, for the 1,000th time this window, have asked Liverpool the Coutinho question. For the 1,000th time, the same answer. Definitive stance, no change, no sale. Now, that's had 938 retweets and 1,400 likes, which tells you everything you need to know about how Liverpool transfer stuff is being covered online at the moment. Nobody wants to hear that a transfer is not happening. Nobody wants to hear it's fine. Nobody wants to hear, comparatively speaking, that Liverpool are in control of a situation. What we're hearing is, and Oliver Bond is, again, he's a good lad. He runs a very good account, and he's a very good, you know, young professional working in the social media and whatever. And I say, nice guy. He's been on the show before, but people will take that word over the word of a Northwest journalist who's got good ties to the club. I don't mean ties as in he's in the pocket of the club. I mean he's got connections for people who tell him the truth about things that happen at the club. He followed it up with what Rich was really funny about no social media demands an update every 5 minutes. It's ridiculous, a circus really. But LFC been consistent from minute one, and he just rounds it up, which is just probably my favourite tweet of the window. If this window has taught us anything, it's that not enough Twitter users understand what the word definitive means. And you know what, I'm prepared to say, I keep qualifying all this Coutinho stuff because you can't help but hear these little things. Oh, Liverpool are definitely going to sell. I've seen people who are, who are very, very tangentially associated with like the Liverpool scene and whatever, saying repeating rumours about players being sold. I've seen a couple of people, and I've seen a couple of people saying things like this who I've seen be wrong on a number of occasions over the years. They might get told something from someone connected to the club, but unfortunately that person connected to the club has no connection to the transfer side of the club. We'll never know. Ultimately, and because we'll never know, it's tough. I know, I get it. I feel it just as bad as everyone else does, and I was feeling really down in the dumps myself because I got sucked into it until I started reading Chris Bascom's stuff. Again, Peter Moore come out, someone tweeted him about it, and he replied, "My sincere apologies, but I know not of what you speak," because he's a funny guy. And here's the thing, particularly the Peter Moore stuff, doesn't have to say anything there. He could just ignore it. He probably gets thousands of tweets an hour, let alone a day or whatever. He could just swerve all talk of that. Could completely swerve it. Doesn't have to make a joke of it. Doesn't have to do anything around it whatsoever. So I would take encouragement from all this about Phil Coutinho staying. Now, if you want Phil Coutinho to go, that's a completely different matter. But on the whole thing, Liverpool looks like they've been steadfast in it. It looks like they're going to make a point this season. Whether it means Coutinho goes next summer, who's asked, man? We'll deal with that in a year's time. But yeah, the Coutinho thing, the fear, the creeping fear is going to exist until the window shuts, unfortunately. But I don't think it gets any more clear than this. In fact, one more. In fact, Ghislain Balaguer, who's been spot on with this so far, Coutinho. Liverpool's signings / negotiations are independent of his future, which means that Lamar, Oxlade-Chamberlain, etc., Virgil van Dijk, whatever, Liverpool don't have to sell Coutinho to fund those transfers, which again was another thing happening yesterday. These tweets, a couple of people tweeted, I've heard Phil Coutinho's going, brilliant. So people start getting the net spend calculators out and start saying, we spent this and this and this. We're spending nothing again this window. Oh my God, it's 48 hours. It's less than now. Just fucking wind it in. Wind it in. It's all you've got to do is just bite your lip, bite your tongue, cross your fingers and your toes if you're that arsed about it all. Let's get through the next, 36 hours or whatever. Maybe slightly longer, I think, because the Spanish transfer window closes on the Friday, whatevs. And then we'll make a firm decision and or come to a firmer understanding of where Liverpool stand, regardless of all this stuff. But until now, man, try to enjoy it. Let's get back to tracking planes and stalking taxis through Liverpool. That was fun, wasn't it? That was a good, fun couple of hours. Let's get back to that in the next 2 days. Let's enjoy the last couple of days of the ride before we get back to the real world, and that's the real world of playing the football and maybe losing football matches sometimes and having to deal with all that stuff. Sai, what have you got for me?
We had a £5 super chat from Matthew Cryans. If we get Lamar, then Coutinho can take his bad back and fuck off.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of that, and understandably so. I think because we've done this in the past. We did it with Sterling. I think there's a lot of things where I think it's easy to start writing players off and saying the shit and we never really want them anyway and they're knobheads and blah blah blah. Phil Coutinho is better than anything we're going to be able to buy this window. So we're better off for having him. And if we get a Lamar in, it's going to take him time to settle in and adapt and whatever. If we get him in. Same with anyone else we sign. So yeah, ultimately I'm not that arsed. But if you are fit, that's absolutely fine.
LJ says something similar. So I feel that we play better as a team now with Phil. The other players often look to him to produce that moment. Now we're playing as a strong, confident team, and it might not be the worst thing. Maybe, but yeah, I think this is just like it's blue sky thinking, and I absolutely appreciate that. I do, because I think there should be more of that kind of thing. But I just like the team ethic things bollocks, because the team love Phil Coutinho. They love him to bits. They love him as a player. They love him as a man. He's at the heart of that team. Will this have coloured it slightly? Maybe, but I've said this before. Footballers don't think the way that we think. Phil Coutinho will come back into Liverpool's dressing room after international duty, and as I say, the players will have probably put a fucking Barcelona shirt in his locker, and then he'll open it, he'll pull it out, they'll all go, ah! And then they'll get on and train, and it'll be fine, and they'll crack on, and he'll crack on, because that's just the way footballers are, ultimately. Jay, Paul, do you look at Payjack nudes when you masturbate? No, not hashtag Payjack nudes. I just think of Chris. I've known Chris a long time, a very long time. I've shared bedrooms with him in the past. That's all I'll say. Pato, something really, he's gone. I'm so sorry, I've just accidentally called you fat and then lost your comment. Pat had a great comment, I can't remember what it is, but it's gone. Super chat, woo. Malajandro, is there any realm of possibility of keeping Phil while also signing VVD and Lamar? Seems all the ports are kind of reacting to each other. Yeah, I think that's the plan. I think the only thing that's mutually exclusive is Lamar and Oxlade-Chamberlain. I think they're going to try everything they can to get Van Dijk done, and then they'll either sign one of Lamar or Oxlade-Chamberlain. And I think Phil will stay. I think that's how it is, if I'm perfectly honest. Tom Cash says, Pickle Rick! Yeah, absolutely. Boss episode. Go on, say. He's got nothing. Banish Coutinho to the under-23s with Sacco. Nah, fuck that shit. Here's the thing, I like Sacco, and Sacco is a decent player. But he's not so much better than what we've got already in and around the squad. Phil Coutinho is, if he's not our best player, he's our joint best player, or he's our second best player. So fuck it, man. Let's just get him back in the team and let's be happy. It was one of those things when he starts pulling all the strings from midfield, or he bangs one in the top bin, or he scores a free kick in the last minute to pull one out the fire for us. No one's going to be arsed that he fucking tittered around in August and look for a move to Barcelona, basically. Okay. New Squared said, if we get all our targets and keep Coutinho, I think we can reach the semi-finals of the Champions League. Yeah, I think we're good enough. I think this team and this squad is good enough to do something this season. But it would, again, as everything, it's always dependent on injuries. And I think, particularly in the midfield department, I think we're light, and I think we're probably, and we're definitely, I think, a centre-half light as well. So if you've got a few key injuries like we did last season in those areas, I think we would struggle to really play at our highest level. So a couple of additions, I think we'll be fine. Honestly, I think we'll be fine either way. I think if you close the window now, Phil Coutinho would still be a Liverpool player. It wouldn't be ideal because, again, I think it would be more of a gamble. It would be nice to have at least one or two more senior level players available to us. But I think we've already seen, in terms of like the likes of the progression of Woodburn, the progression of Trent Alexander-Arnold, etc., that there's talent in this squad. And even like a Grujic, we've still not seen anything like the best of him, not at the run of games. This might be a season where he has an absolute breakout, and things might actually work out really well for us. Wow, the Super Chats are flying in, Si. Alex Borg says, was it confirmed that the plane this morning was VVD? I've got no idea. Does anyone know if it was confirmed? Everyone hit Twitter or the plane tracking service or whatever and find out if it was Virgil van Dijk. Nitesh Jiswal, just give us 40 squiggles. That's amazing. There's loads here, isn't there, mate? Fucking hell.
David Giblin, who says he can't get into my Redmen TV account.
Okay, so you have to email helpdesk@nerdcomputers.com and just say that basically. And if you want to tag Chris in it as well, just to make sure that it gets seen, do that at chris@redmentv.com, and it should be sorted. Made a very easy fix, I would imagine. Cool. So let's just get to a couple more before we wrap up.
King Kenny, sorry.
Go on. Alex Harriman saying Grealish has no chance. Disagree. Carry on.
King Kenny says, I'm a 40-year supporter and this is the most exciting in the last 20 years. You'll never walk alone.
Yeah, exactly. This is the thing. We can't, and this is the point about me saying, like, keep our powder dry for 36 hours, because we've been having hypothetical conversations about the transfer window all summer long. Will this be a good transfer window? Will this be a bad transfer window? The only way to know is that we'll sit down on Friday or Thursday night, and we'll have a little look around what we've got, and we'll see where we stand. I think there's no sense in saying it one way or the other, but it's one of them, because I could say just as easily, if we get no one, it's the worst transfer window. If we get one of Lamar and Oxlade-Chamberlain and Virgil van Dijk, it could be argued it's the best transfer window we've ever done. That's the fine margins of where we are right now. But it should be exciting. It should be interesting. If you're not interested and excited or buoyed by it, then try your best to switch off to it, and stay off social media is the only advice, because it's an itch, I know, that's very tempting to scratch, just to go and look and see what's happening. There's too many knobheads out there, far too many knobheads who are pretending they know information when they don't. Follow Chris Bascom, follow Paul Joyce, follow James Pearce, follow Melissa Reddy, and then one or two of the others who maybe work for the Times or whatever, maybe down south of that. By and large, if they're not talking about it, it's probably not going to happen. So yeah, and that's the best way to deal with things. One more before we go, Si.
Elliot Patrice says, is the stuff about Origi going the other way for Lamar, or is that bollocks?
That
I'm
looks like
happy to see him leave, because I think Solanke is a better Firmino replacement.
Yeah, I mean, again, squad depth is a nice thing. I'd rather just have players who can play footy, but it looks like it's an option. Whether it's an option Monaco are interested in, we just don't know. But by all accounts, there was something out this morning that I think it's France or Germany likely for Origi. If not, then he'll stay. Which I'll be happy with one way or the other. If he goes, I hope he gets a good club, and I hope he gets a chance to shine in a team that suits his style. Because I think there's a terrific player in Divock Origi. And if someone can get the better of him, at the very least, it means we've got a very saleable asset for the future. And at the very best, it means he comes back a striker worthy of starting in Liverpool's team, which is the ideal situation for us. Anyway, thanks for watching. I passed 20,000 subscribers on my channel. I've got a Q&A coming up. I'm going to edit it today at some point, hopefully. Subscribe to Mates TV for more me. That's good. I enjoyed that. The Arsenal matchday experience videos onto like 75,000 views is nearly going to be the biggest video on that channel. Click watch that. Subscribe to Redmen TV, of course. And we've got the Reds transfer roundup show coming up today. We've got Chris Williams, Bundesliga expert. And there's a slight possibility, to be confirmed, that Graham Kelly, the man who's basically either winning the internet or trolling everyone to death, should be in for that show as well, to be confirmed. That's recording today with Steel on the redmentv.com. Get it, subscribe, get a free month to try all them shows out as well. You've got exclusive video content, exclusive podcasts, loads of amazing stuff. It's boss, it makes all this thing possible, so get involved with it. You can click there, watch it, and we'll see you there. Ta-da.